All right, let me know if you guys can hear me okay. It's a bit of a rough start today, as usual, but it is what it is, right? If the audio's good, that's my fault. If the audio's bad, it's your fault. Remember that. Hope you guys are doing well after Halloween, our highest of holidays. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Let me know who's in here. If you guys are ready, let me know where you're from, what you shoot with. Not just I shoot and a brand. I don't care. No, I'm just kidding. Tell me what you shoot with, but let me know also what you shoot. I'm just looking for one more thing, and then we're going to get going for it, guys. It's been a minute. Thanks so much. Thanks, Vagar. Appreciate you. All right, you guys ready? Let me know if you're ready. Hit ready in the chat. It's all good. It's all good. I'm live. It's all right. All right. If you guys want, there's classes at 5 o'clock. All right. Go for it. That's all those QR codes. All right, you guys ready, guys? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, here we go. Boom. What's up? Happy post-Halloween. I know. It was a good weekend here in New York. We had the marathon. Everybody's got a lot of like good energy, trying to help each other out for a change, right? We also had Friday and Saturday night Halloween, if you know what's up. But I also had my live demo on Thursday. So if you missed that, check that out. It's the last video that's on this channel. This is episode 30, guys. We have gone 30 weeks of this Ask Me Anythings. Heidi, what's going on? Missed you. Johnny, what's going on? How's everybody doing? Left me a question on IG. You know what? I totally forgot to do the Instagram question thing. I apologize. But, yeah, I guess, you know what, Heidi, if I try to dig through my DMs for that, it's going to drive me crazy. So just drop the question in the chat here. If you're new here, hit subscribe. This is the live events channel. This is the channel that we stream. 90% of what comes out of this event space comes out live from here to the events channel, which is what you're watching right now. If you're an Adorama TV fan, that's great. This is another channel, so make sure you hit subscribe. Well, yes, I'm sorry, Quinn. This is how rusty I am, guys. Man, I'm not kidding you. I've been, the amount of, oh man, I've been trying to edit this hour-long video from my own channel for like the past in-between things and making mistakes, then going back, redoing things, then the export. My brain's fried. So I apologize. I'm a little rough today, but we'll get through it. Canon R1. Look at this guy. Big guy over here with a Canon R1 over here. Look at this. Tony Pags. All right. So if you did miss my demo, we just basically let our boy Justin over here, Justin C. Schilling on Instagram, a great actor here in New York, came through last minute. You know why? Because it was a torrential downpour. I cannot express to you what kind of flood we had going on here in New York right when I come and back to do demos after like 7 months of not doing demos. That's how it goes. My model couldn't get here, so I called in old reliable Justin. He was available, came right through that storm, and I appreciate you so much, Justin. And I appreciate everybody that came here to sit in these chairs for something they could have watched right here. But I do think there's something to being in room for demos, especially when the demo gets, the live stream gets shut off, and you can have these like off the record talks and some questions you might not have wanted to ask through all those live and things like that. So stuff like that. What's going on, Kristen? Billy, how are you? I pulled the trigger on switching to Pro Photo mostly from your videos. Okay, I accept no responsibility for any money you guys spent, but I do shoot Pro Photo myself, so I gotta say you'll probably be into it. Let us know what you got. Let us know why you went that way, all right? I'm gonna give that edge mask a try. So if you guys want a deeper dive into what edge mask was, is what I showed a filthy way of doing it, which is just like blocking with a board, blocking a softbox with a board. If you want to see more in depth on the edge mask, episode 1, the very first episode of this was edge mask. So there's like an hour-long demo of just the edge mask, I think. Probably because I just got it and I was like, you know what, this is my demo today. But we've been using edge mask for a long time in this industry, except we've been using it basically with like big panels and flags and not an actual like diffuser that was made to be an edge mask. But now, and they were available forever, but now you can get a bunch of different sizes. You can get a bunch of different brands, densities, all sorts of stuff. So edge mask is something cool. Pro Photo's been making it their thing for right now. So if you just want to get the diffuser, you can actually, want to pull that up, I'll show you guys. If you want to know what Edge Mask is about, you can check out my demo from Thursday, which is on this channel. It's the last video that was just up here. It's a live demo from this space with a model, you know, shot with a model for change. Pro Photo Edge Mask. I'll put this in the chat so you guys can see your options. The bigger the Edge Mask, in my opinion, the more the more versatility you're going to have to do with it, because it becomes your background, but you can do other things with it. All right. So this is, well, if you didn't join us, this is what Edge Mask is about. So it's basically an opaque center to a softbox, or an opaque substrate against some sort of diffuser, whether it's a panel, whether it's a big softbox, an octa, a rectangle, whatever. And there's things you can do with it. I mainly showed you guys how to use it as a background to make a uniformed rim light, but you can also use it pointed at your subject. And essentially what you're doing is you're shooting with feathered light pointed at your subject. It makes no sense when I say that, right? It's like you're going slow but fast. No, it really is, because you're basically using an edge of a light that was created because the center was completely blocked. The Pro Photo Edge Mask, this Edge Mask, has a silver on the other side of it. What's cool about that is when you bang a light in that softbox, it hits that silver, bounces back, and you kind of don't waste all that light. Don't have to get it eaten up. In fact, you might even get a chance to not have to use as much power or get more battery life. You're just not putting as much stress on the light because you're using some of that residual light, which is pretty nice to have. A lot of the Edge Mask that I used when I was growing up was just dense, fireproof fabric, and it just ate light like no tomorrow. And you kept on trying to get like these higher powered strobes to use with Edge Mask, and now you kids have it so easy. All right, bunch of questions popping up in the chat. Have you ever done a demo comparing rectangle softboxes and octas? I feel like there's a million of those. I got to be honest with you. Like, some of the questions that you guys get, that we get, there's been demos or videos, and I guarantee you on Adorama TV, over the 15 years of that channel, someone has already done that demo. The reality is, when you're talking about a softbox, let me see if I can grab something really quick. What do I got around here? Okay, so I got this, and what about something else? And okay, great. So I actually have, this is a one, I don't want to do a 1x4. I want to do, this is a 4-foot octa, which I used on Thursday, right? I'll just do this. If I can do it without having to open like 16 soft boxes, that would be great. While I do this, Solomon's asking, can you use those Pro Photo Edge Masks on different round modifiers? Absolutely. If a diffuser fits on a softbox, you can use it. What you might notice is different in the type of color you get out of that softbox. For example, if you had a softbox that shoots a little warm, some lower cost softboxes might shoot a little green or magenta, right? If that's the case, and you take off that front diffuser, it's not just the diffuser that makes the color, the lining of the softbox as well, because the light is hitting that and then coming out, can it change your color as well? So just be aware of that, but you can totally, it's just a diffuser. You know what I mean? You can totally just put that onto whatever softbox it fits on. So let's say you have a 4-foot octa in another brand, but you wanted the Edge Mask, you could totally buy just the Pro Photo Edge Mask and put it on whatever 4-foot octa you have. It'll fit in theory, right? You can make it fit, it's Velcro, right? What I will say is at my studio, I have a 6-foot sized Edge Mask that's from Broncolor that I put on lower cost softboxes, because 6-foot softboxes can be very expensive in some cases. And I will tell you, I've had it for so many years. The diffuser didn't change color. The inside of the softbox started getting warmer. And I started noticing it affecting when I used the Edge Mask, because I was expecting something else over the years. So just be aware of that, you know. All right. So this is a 4-foot octa, right? Oh my God, this thing's so not broken in, but it is beautiful. With an octa, if there was a square here, let me see if I got something I can block this with. If I had, let me see. Hopefully you guys can like imagine this really quick, unless I can find I think I have a 2x3 softbox here somewhere, but when you have an octa, you have this much real estate, right? When you have a rectangle, you're losing these extra little bit, right? So even if you have a 4 foot, even if you have a 4 foot, oh wow, that's funny. Brad, your message, I love those big octas, got flagged by YouTube as defamatory. What do you think it thought it meant? We're not gonna go down that. Oh man, I am too tired for this. Oh man. I'm gonna get so slap happy on you guys, and I don't need clips of me laughing my brains out there. Okay. The reality is that when you're using an octa, you have all this real estate that you then can have go past your subject, to which you'll have residual light that you can then bounce back in. It's also the shape of the light, how it spreads light. So it'll spread obviously in a more circular pattern. It'll spread with less of like with less of a flagged edge to it sometimes. And of course the catch light. So what I would say about boxes versus octas is, one of the things I always keep in mind is an octa, no matter how you rotate, it stays the same shape. A rectangle softbox doesn't, right? I lose the light on her torso, but I gain this light going past her to then use as a bounce, and so on and so forth. So like you have some options with the rectangle you might not have with the octa, but you have some versatility with the octa you might not be able to get with the rectangle. So, but that's like really nitpicking. Once you really know what you're doing with lighting, you can kind of make anything work to some degree. But if the size of the modifier is really what you're looking for, if it's in rectangle and you turn it horizontal, you absolutely not only change the shape, you change the size of the light affecting your model. Let me see if I can find, oh, what is this? Is this a 4 foot? Hey, look at that. 2x3, look at that. So no matter what, this is gonna be smaller than that octa, but whatever. So Vegar's saying, I guess you have a little bit more control with the rectangle. Yes and no. There are situations where you can have more control with one rather than the other. Think of it this way. If you don't have something to block half of that softbox, it's always gonna be 3 feet going, let me just do this. Why am I love how I turn into a mime and I do this with you guys while I'm holding the thing I can just show you. What I will say is you can gain uniformity with an octa, and an octa can absolutely do things like, okay, so this is a 2x3. If I wanted to use this as a white background behind my model, it's gonna be a little tough. I could do it, longer lenses, right? Or some distance games. But then an octa, I have this uniform circle that I can shoot into and cut my frame out of it, right? There's a lot of reasons for it. One of the reasons I use octas a lot overhead is because I want this light to be so big it cascades in front of my model, and then almost always I'm gonna bounce it off of something. So if I'm in an environment that has like a dark floor, I'll put boards on the floor to bounce up in front of my model, but not have the bounce come up from behind if I'm on a dark floor, right? So like you gain some extra control there, you gain some extra light there as well, you know? So modifiers, everything that is going to affect your light affects your light. The size of the modifier, the shape of the modifier, the depth of the modifier, how even it is, right? How consistent it is, how much you can flag it, how much you can grid it, how much you can limit the spread, how much you can zoom it, right? So one of the things about ProPhoto, I was gonna show you guys this light, so I'll pull it out now anyway. I have this on loan and they didn't take it back yet. This is a 1250 watt second Pro D3 from ProPhoto. Look at this thing. Oh. This was awesome. When I used it in my studio, there's a video coming out of my channel in the next day or so that I use this, but this is a plug-in light, not battery, 1250 watt second. And this is also the light that we use. We used 2 of these when me and Daniel did the paper negative day where we shot analog in here, because paper negatives were like 4 ISO. We needed 10 tons of light. I give you 10 tons of light. Let me see. Because one of the things you can gain with the ProPhoto mounting system, but also you can gain on some modifiers that exist out there for any system. I just want to make the point of zooming, right? So you can fill the entire box, right? Or I can take it down to concentrate it more towards the middle if I don't want so much spread. It's not a massive change, but it's enough to notice if you're trying to be very precise, and it's very cool to just have that on every modifier you can put on the light. Some systems do have modifiers that do have zooming capability like that as well. So it's a nice thing to have when you are super particular, you know, like this guy. And I just cut myself for the 14th time today. Oh man. Everybody with me? Is this all right? You guys do me a favor and just hit like on this if you are watching. It really helps me out. I don't know what this is from. I guess I'm gonna find this out. This is a diffuser from something. Oh no, there's just plastic bags. Great, I don't have to find out what it goes to at all. All right, sorry guys, the chat's been going here. All right. Yeah, so Brad's saying I have both, but I use octas 90% of the time. It's funny because the guy next to you might go, I have both, but I like use rectangles most of the time. It's really, you'll find a reason for what type of shape you want to get the control, the spread, the look that you want, all right? Man, sometimes an octa for me is just doing too much, throwing too much light around. And I don't want that. It's just too big of a source, too much of a spread. Most of the time, you'll catch me with an octa and I put a grid on it, and then I'll take off half the grid. I'll just smash the grid together, open up half of it just for my subject, but grid the rest just to be a little bit more organic light, but I don't want it lighting my subject, you know? Okay. Sorry guys, I'm a little behind on this chat. What's going on here? How was Comic-Con? Comic-Con was super fun. A lot of work, a lot of rain. It was an hour-and-a-half video on my channel, and you can only imagine how much work went into that. With a sprained ankle, walking 30 miles over 3 days was just, ugh. Heidi's saying, dance shoot today in my studio with 3 mirrored walls. Ugh. Blocking one with blackout. Most of another want dancers on black with 3 B1X 2 strips gridded beauty dish. Tips for dealing with mirror bounce. The thing with mirrors is, one, you either work with them or you get rid of them completely, in my opinion. There's just too many variables of the way the light can hit a mirror that can then come back and make a drastic difference in your image. I know some people that shoot their lights, bounce their lights into the mirror and get this type of look. It definitely, it's like it doesn't scatter it because it's literally a mirror, but it makes the light bigger. So it gives you a harder, bigger light source, which is kind of interesting. I'm not going to say it's like a parabolic or something like that, but it can do that sometimes. So either block it out, flag off your lights so nothing hits those mirrors, or create a space where you're literally dividing the room, maybe with V-flats, maybe with like black shower curtains are a big go-to. If you have a chance, I know here in New York, Brooklyn dollar stores, I am loading up on black shower curtains all the time because most likely they're opaque. They don't transmit light. They can eat up light. They're foldable. They're basically like, you can get them wet. It doesn't matter, right? You can put them down as a drop cloth. They're just good to have in general. So you might want to check that out. But it's hard to give you like real tips on it without seeing the room and being in that room. Because what you're going to find is what actually hits the mirrors more often than not is light bouncing off the ceiling and then hitting that mirror at some angle to make it come back a little sharper. And then what are you going to do, right? So it's a huge room. So it's tall ceilings. If it's a huge room, I would really, if you can black out a section of the mirror and then make an L. So if this is your mirror, have the black shower curtain this way. So if you're trying to shoot them on black, black out the mirrors with like a roll of seamless. You could do duvetine if you want. Depends on what you're going for and what you have grip wise or rigging wise. And you can also just have an L come off here with maybe a C stand or two light stands with A clamps. Where's it? The one time I need an A clamp, there's no A clamps. I'm drowning in soft boxes already. You guys are driving me crazy. So you can take whatever stands, throw the black shower curtain on that, boom, A clamp, run it to the other side. Because you don't need to be pretty. You're just trying to get it to mitigate touching, the light touching any of the mirrors on the rest of the wall, right? Mirrors are tricky. Like I said, either lean into them or get rid of them. That's my, I don't like playing games with mirrors, especially when I'm in someone else's location and there is a job on the line and I've just got to get these shots done, you know? All right. Edgar Garcia signed up for lighting someone at WPI. See you there? Yeah, yeah, I guess I should talk about that. I will be at WPI for a platform class, but they also asked me to be part of the summit, which happens the day before WPI, I believe. I'll be doing a similar demo to what I did last year, where I'm just showing you how to sculpt subjects with light, you know, using the 20-foot black backdrop. Okay, so there you go. And you could just have, honestly, rolls of black seamless as well are just easy to kind of, if you get a 9-foot seamless, if you're able to transport it, get it there, throw it on 2 C stands, raise it up, drop it, make an L out of that, and you should be fine, you know, give or take. All right. And I also don't know how wide you're shooting or how shallow you're looking to get or how much power you're pumping through. But these are very difficult questions to answer, Heidi, when I'm not in the space and seeing what you're trying to do. So I'm giving you just kind of like very general tips on this. That's rounding out my A team of lighting. I got an A10, A2. Do I add another A10 or A2? Key is mobility and flexibility. A10 is more flexible. Look, I was all about A10s and then the A2 came out and I was using like one of my A10s on camera here and there. And I started slowly shifting over to A2s. If the light's gonna be off camera, A2 is easier to carry, less moving parts, no bounce head, no zoom head that if it hits the floor, it could break. You've got a lot of options with the A2. And honestly, if it came down to it, let's say you wanna sell it later, an A2 is universal. An A10 is per camera, right? So I don't want to tell you what to do, but if it's off camera, the A2 makes more sense to me. A10s are great, and they're definitely great to have as backup remotes as well. But, you know, again, the whole point of that light is to be on camera. We kept using them off camera, then ProPhoto's like, fine, we'll give you a small light off camera. And that light actually matches the bigger studio lights more, in my opinion, because they have the same frosted lens, so the light looks the same, as opposed to a more clear looking Fresnel, you know. Is there a way of syncing why can't I read this? Is there a way of syncing directly from a printer and a camera? Do you mean you want to shoot and then have it print? I think Fujifilm has the ability to shoot and go right to their Instax printer, but you're printing to film. If you're trying to get like an inkjet printer, I don't know. I'm not your guy for printing. I couldn't tell you, but I do think that some Fujifilm cameras have the ability to at least print from the camera. I don't know about shoot to print. They do make Instax cameras that print from the camera and then save the image, like the Evo and the Evo Wide, which I think is a super fun camera, by the way. But I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Oh man, did I miss anything else? Do you still use the small 1x1.5 box? It's a 1x1.3, thank you very much. And absolutely, I know the look of that box inside and out. I've shot some of the most successful images of my career using those boxes. So they're definitely like a go-to for me. If I'm having trouble figuring something out or going after a look and I just want to go for a hole-in-one, or I'm going for something super sculpty, very, very dialed in, that's my softbox for me personally. But of course, if I'm lighting like a group of people, no, I'm not pulling out a 1x1.3. I'm just not pulling out a small square. That's just not happening. So Brad is saying the Canon selfie can print from the camera, but I think they're asking, can you shoot and it goes right to print? Is that what you're asking? Because if not, there's plenty of cameras that do sync after the fact. You go through what you shot, then you print. Because I don't think anybody wants to shoot everything they print. I'm sorry. I don't think anybody wants to print everything they shoot, you know? Yeah. All right. What was I going to do? I don't know what I was going to do. I don't know what I was going to do. I don't know what I was going to do, man. I keep hearing the term open gate. What is that? What is it? Okay, so open gate is pretty much a video term. We're using the full width of the sensor. And what that allows for is, let's say, let's say this is my sensor, the full sensor. Open gate would shoot the entire width, and in some cases, if not all cases, leave the top and bottom unused. And then what you could do in post is reframe the image. So if you shot something and said, man, if there's only a little more headroom on that talking head or whatever, open gate just gives you access to the whole sensor. It's a lot of data. Most people don't ever use it. It's definitely something that needs processing power from the camera. It's definitely something that takes up more data, so you need storage. So just like anything else, more information means you mean more everything, you know? So that's really what open gate means, is the full width of the sensor. And one of the craziest ones is the Fujifilm GFX, because it's the largest sensor with autofocus on it. So it's like a medium format sensor. So you have all this real estate, and then you can just basically crop in whatever aspect ratio you want. 16:9, 4:3, whatever, right? It's pretty cool. And then let's say you want to be able to shoot the format and then in post move the frame up and down. You could do that with open gate. So it's kind of cool. Reframing and all that fun stuff, you know? All right. Let's see. Did I miss anything from you guys? Wow, we just blew through a half hour already. Oh, man, I feel like I haven't done this in a million years. Okay, cool. So, yeah, as usual, I didn't have a plan today, but I saw that I still had this monster laying around. This thing is so much fun. Oh, you know, it needs... see, I'm so spoiled with not having to plug in any lights that here I am, just like turning on a light without plugging in the power. So a lot of people think that it's a bad thing to have a plug-in light. You gain some advantages with plug-in lights. One, you don't got to babysit batteries. If you've ever worked a heavy volume, or you have shot day after day after day, you'll know that like swapping out batteries, you kind of feel like you have like a Tamagotchi you got to constantly feed, which is fine. You definitely gain portability and all that kind of stuff, which is awesome. And with some systems like ProPhoto, you can plug it in while you're running the battery, so it's like a trickle charge, which I definitely do on some long days. Without a doubt, I do that. But one thing you gain with something like plug-in lights is recycle time. It's just pure power. So let me throw some power into this guy. And so let me see if this is synced up. All right. So this is at a power of 8. 8, right? Keep in mind, this is 1250 watt seconds. That means that 9 is 625. So 8 is about 300 watt seconds, give or take. And it's just always there for you. Like, how cool is that, right? If I were to dial this down to like, I don't know, let's go to 6. Like, you're doing no problem, right? Like if I don't want to tether this in because I don't want a million frames of nothing, but let's say I just shoot, let me put it on 20 frames a second. Let's see what we get. So this is at a power of a little over 6. All right. First of all, let me see if this, okay, cool. So if I put this to, that's 20 frames a second, guys. 20 frames a second. Like, what? So that's what a high-end pro light is like. Your exposures are consistent, nothing shifts. I know that there are some of you in this chat that were on that stream I did a few years ago from the Stream Lab during, you know, little weird times, where I had the ProPhoto Pro 11 pack. The Pro 11 pack is 2400 watt seconds. We shot the thing at 20 frames a second, and for the rest of the stream, the images were just loading in onto Capture One, and it looked like nothing. It looked like it was the same image until you realize the number of the frame was changing on Capture One, because it was so consistent. It looked like the same photo just sitting there forever. That's a very expensive power pack. This is up there in price, but oh, I want one so bad. One of the other cool things that this has is it shows you the flash count number, just like shutter count on your cameras. It actually lets you know how these have been used. If you're doing something with like e-commerce or something and you need high volume and you want to know how worked in your tubes, the tube on the light is, if you think it's going to need servicing or whatever, boom, right? No, that was, yeah, I did the video with Marissa for the Pro 11, but I did a live stream with you guys where we just kind of shot into Capture One. You know what? Let me go into a demo here. Recent, oh, wrong demo. Wrong demo. Live view demos. Okay. I'll just throw a quick softbox on this. We'll do TTL and we'll see how this goes. All right. So if I put, let me drop this. So we'll do stupid amounts of frames a second. See what happens with what's going on. So the first thing I'm going to do is my black frame, right? Black frame, so that we know that the only light we're recording in is the strobe, right? Let's do the rectangle, because I've been doing the octa like a lot lately. So why don't we just do the rectangle? All right. And we will just do a very simple lighting scheme, just a little bit to the side and a little bit down, nothing bananas. And we'll have Quinn face towards this. Also, the other thing you gain out of this is a super powerful modeling light. It is Brightman. Very bright modeling light, which is great. And I'm going to do the black frame first, obviously. Let's see what we got. I cannot shoot with the screen flipping out, drives me nuts. Let's make sure this is tethered in. Tethered in, okay. There you go, oh, sorry. All right, so let's do the black frame really quick. That was from, I'm not even sure what we did there, to be honest. I'm not really sure what we did there. I think I was mixing the ambient and it showed you why to use a Magnum instead of a, so clearly I'm shooting fast. I just did 3 frames by accident. So we definitely have a black frame going on here. If I pull the exposure slider, she's like 2 stops under, great. Let's get a TTL exposure on her. Whoop, man. So that's TTL with 2 frames. Jeez, that's nuts. Now I'm going to take it out of TTL, keep it in whatever it metered the light at. And you can see that like these are all frames coming in, but there isn't any difference in the frames. The frames look, these are frames coming in, guys. They're 53, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. See how there's not one shift in color, one shift in exposure? It is consistent for 20 frames a second for, oh my God, it's still going. It's gonna be going for a minute because this shot faster than it can import in a tether. But you see how absolutely dead on consistent it is? There's not a single shift, not a skipped frame. They probably skipped frames towards the end because it was like hitting a minute of going, yo, I can't get enough stuff out of this camera into here. It's kind of crazy, right? Like that, look, we just went How many frames is this? 220. Okay, so look at all these frames. Wait, we just did, let's see. We just did, oh my God, I'm gonna have to throw all these out because I do not need these a million pictures of Quinn. All right, so this to this. Oh my God, I'm doing this so wrong. Let me see how many pictures we got here. Without a shift, without anything. I think I started at the second one, right? Why is it not? Oh, I know, I'm hitting command instead of shift. I'm sorry, guys. That is 100, almost 100 frames. Almost 100 frames. Nothing has shifted on these. Nothing has shifted on these except me holding it. Look at that. Clean. Dead on. Boom. You know? So Ian is saying, be aware some batteries for studio lights are notorious for going to hibernation mode if the batteries are left off the charging for a short period. Do your research for buying. Sure. Any battery that's rechargeable that you do not use, cycle through a full power cycle, or literally just leave sitting and never charge, will eventually just not charge. It's just what they are. Where's the bottlenecks causing the slow transfer? Is it the camera, cable, or computer? Honestly, it could be something like the buffer to the USB cable is where it's bottlenecking, just like the buffer going into the memory card, right? This is 20 something. Is this 20 frames a second? I'm on high plus. I don't know if that's 20 frames a second or no. It's got to be 20 frames. It's raw. 20 frames a second for what did I get at that? 100 frames. So what was that? 5 seconds of shooting, right? With a strobe. Don't forget that part. Like, that's what's kind of nuts about it, is that this is a strobe recycling and getting ready to go right back into it. And usually when a strobe recycles, if it doesn't get all the way to that recycle, you could have something like exposure drop, which causes color shift. If the bulb gets warm, that can cause color shift. Tube gets warm. If just not having consistent discharge from the capacitors inside the light, the thing is you're paying for dependability. Like, this is just, and I'm not trying to sell you this light because it's very expensive, but I just wanted you to see like a pro light doing pro things. And let's say I wanted a super, soft look. I could literally just point this at the sky because it's got so much power in it, right? I'm just gonna point it straight up. This is like, I don't know, what is this, like 10, 12 foot ceilings? I don't even know. If I run it off the ceiling, super soft off the ceiling, right? Because I have that much power. So the power that it was at Vagar was 3 because it's a 1250 watt second light. When it's at I think we were at F8, F7.1 or whatever, at ISO 100. So it doesn't need to go up high because it doesn't need all that power, right? It's relative, right? And then this, it's at power of 6. So it needed 3 more stops of light to bounce off the ceiling and come back down, you know? The B2, so the ProPhoto B2 battery, for one, they're old. I mean, the B2, I think the last one was made like 7 years ago, right? So they're those batteries are old, man. And you can get them reselled. There are people out there that do custom resell. And when I say sell, I mean CELL, like they rebuild the battery. You can find on forums, reputable places. Even with the Pro Light, are you dialing in at 5000K? I'm at 5000K on this camera, yes. It doesn't matter. So, and it should be 5000K, right? Because if I told you guys, if you followed me for a while, that 5000K is how I like ProPhoto lights to register at white balance wise, this light should match the entire lineup of ProPhoto. There shouldn't be, just because I spent $1,000 instead of $4,000, it doesn't match, right? No, it should match. Like, why wouldn't it, right? That's kind of the great thing about a really well thought out and designed system. And part of what you're paying for is consistency. You're always going to hear that word from us because the variables in your shot should be the environment, your subject, what you're trying to do. The variable should not be that light should hit that exposure, should hit that color, should just be there for you. The tools should just be there for you. And that's where you end up seeing the line between, some systems and pro systems, right? But you're paying pro prices because pros are making a living with it, So you got to kind of, there's nothing wrong with being on a budget. You just have to be aware of where the limitations on what you get, what you pay for is what you get sometimes. And if you can compensate for that, like for example, if you had a budget light and you tried to work it this hard and it started shifting color, your limitation right there is calm down and stop shooting for a little bit. Let the light calm down, cool off, and get back to a stasis, okay? If you are hitting a limit on doing something like that and it's getting shift, what you might want to do, and you're not going to want to hear this, and again, I don't want you guys to buy extra stuff, you don't have to buy it, but in a second light that's on deck that is already cooled off and not overworked, so you can just swap it out and get back to work, right? And two of those lights might cost 1/4 of that high-end pro light, right? So that's kind of, where do you draw your line on reliability? Where do you draw your line on limits? What you have today for budget gear is phenomenal. I mean, when I was coming up and you had like some lights that were a little meh, they literally went on fire and stuff. Yeah, ask Daniel about that. Me and Daniel both have been electrocuted by Norman packs. We're not going to get into that. I've definitely been electrocuted by Speedotron packs, but that was my fault. I'm not going to get into that either. And I still own those packs because I love them. But case in point, the Speedotron packs that I own are 2400 watt seconds, but can be divided up into 6 lights at one time, which is cool, right? The thing is that pack at 2400 watt seconds for one single light might be less light. I mean, not as much power as this one at 1250 watt seconds because it's about efficiency. The numbers don't mean definitive power. It means potential of the light. But if the light isn't efficient and it's not, okay, another thing about efficiency, that light might have a shorter flash duration and give me more power at a lower watt second than my old Speedotrons, which have got to be 30 years old now. I mean, I was the fourth hand I got those. Watt seconds is not output. That is right. Watt seconds is not output. It's potential of the unit, right? Which you would think we'd have a unit of output, but that's not how marketing works, I guess you could say. If you've been electrocuted by those two and Alien Bs, the Alien, I'm not going to get into Alien B. Alien B works over a certain way called direct current, where those lights are small, but they're using a direct current, and it's actually can't be as consistent because it's not using I don't think it's using a capacitor system. I'm like, whatever. The reality is, those numbers only get you so far, and then there's so much more aspects to the light and to lighting in general that you have to consider if you're doing a lot of high volume, a lot of things that take precision, consistency. If you're ever, let's say, for example, you're shooting a lookbook, right? Let's say you're doing e-commerce and you're shooting a model. I got Quinn, she's up against the backdrop, and then all of a sudden, that left light, I got 2 lights. The light on the left, for some reason, is getting warmer, but then the light on my right is staying on balance. It's staying there on, perfect. Well, how do I fix that? It's not a global adjustment. Now I've got to figure out how to only change or balance out one half of the lighting. So like, these are the considerations you got to go like, okay, if that's what I'm going to deal with, and I don't have time to swap out a light or time to even deal with troubleshooting it, and I have all this high volume, that's when you start making decisions about, do I invest into some higher end gear or some other system or whatever. But if you're someone that's shooting headshots for a corporation and you've got a, you know, I'm going to say a couple hundred headshots and you're not running it at, you know, on a motor drive. I'm talking like you're only doing single shots, bang, 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 bang. It might never shift on you. And in that case, you don't need to spend money on higher end stuff if it's not giving you a problem, right? So there's reasons. I'll say there's very, very few things in this industry that isn't you get what you pay for in some cases. You know, but you have to kind of figure out for you and what you're doing, what your limits are, what your line in the sand is. And also sometimes it's not about having one very expensive light, but you need 3 middle priced lights because you're lighting in zones. You know how many times I've seen people spend all their money on one light and go, I've got the best. And then they go, right, but what are you gonna do for a background light? What if I wanted to light in zones? What if I needed, you know, 2 rims and all you have is a key? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, you probably would have been better off with a system that you could afford that would give you multiple lights rather than the one light, you know? The other thing is you can rent. You can just rent. A light like this is absolutely a rental light. This is a type of light that you're gonna find in pro rental houses where people don't want to just go out and buy these things, you know? You guys with me? That chat looks dead. I feel like I kind of fell off a cliff with you guys. I apologize. But yeah. Yeah, so Brad's right. There are some flashpoint batteries that you can reset for sure. Any of this makes sense? Don't think that you need anything super expensive to do whatever you're trying to do. You just might have to get craftier with the limitations of what you do have access to. That's all, right? Zones is so important to remember, not to mention the depth you can create with more than one light. Yeah, but it's also important to master using one light, because when you're using multiple lights, you will get more out of each light itself. When you realize that there's more to lighting than just pointing the light physically at you guys, when there's more than just this, you know, like pointing at something else and bouncing, or using the edge of the light and then reflecting the rest of the light back in, or just understanding that you can get your subject closer to a background and make that background within range of the same exposure instead of having to get that second light. You know what I'm saying? So you have the ability to understand getting the most out of and optimizing everything that you probably already have. But it's when you get to a point where you're like, well, I want to do this, and you hit a limit. Then you start thinking, well, what do I need as a tool to do what I can't do now? Daniel puts it the best, like, use what you got till it doesn't do what you want it to do. That's really what it is, right? And there's been years of my career early on where I couldn't afford anything, and I was just getting by on standard looking images just to hope that I got through the job rather than do the thing I want to do that would have been crazy, you know? And then later on, I was able to do some of the crazier things, you know? I try to be a minimalist with lights. I have 3, but almost always using just 1. Yeah, I think a lot of times people think adding more lights will always make better photo, but really it's like anything else. You know, if you look at a canvas and you start chucking paint at it, is that better than someone making a really precise, beautiful, monotone painting? You know, like what are you going for and what will get you there? All right. The never-ending fight with, wait, what does that say? The never-ending fight with yourself of cool new gear versus I don't need it. You know, yes, but I'll say as a guy that's constantly dealing with gear and new gear, when you start realizing why something was put out in the market or designed the way it's designed or can do the things it can do, it starts opening up your head going like, you know what else I can do now? This. You know what else I can do now? That. Like one of the things, it's not even a new technology, but like I have to self-film myself for my channel a lot, right? Or even here, I have eye detection staying with me. It's like having someone pilot a camera. In the old event space, we had to fix the focus to a middle point and just hope that most of the demo happened there, because the second one of us moved over here, it lost focus. You know, and it's just kind of cool to have that ability. And when we were rebuilding the space, I had the option of, well, do we go back to those kind of cameras, or could we go with a hybrid type camera that'll stay with focus? And that's when Nikon came through and hooked us up with the cameras. For those of you who don't know, you're looking at me on a Z6 III. But it's just cool that, you know, this is the kind of technology we have. But if I wanted to, I could have, you know, if I was building a space, yeah, you could spend less money and just get a camera that manually focuses, you manually focus the spot, and you stay in just one area. But when I'm doing live demos at my studio and trying to self-record myself, I don't want any reason for the viewer to be like losing interest because I walked into a zone that's out of focus or something, you know? And there's also the idea of the look, like you could shoot shallow, the video, and as you move, it doesn't matter because it can stay that shallow look, but stay with you, things like that, you know? Or look at my Comic-Con video. I shot the whole thing on the Osmo Pocket. I probably wouldn't have started covering Comic-Con if I didn't pick up that camera, you know? Something like that. Wow, we are almost at the hour mark here, guys. It's why musicians buy gear too, like the guitar that had 5 strings in it. New guitar's abilities can inspire new creative ideas, or it might have a different sound, right? So there's times I'll buy a camera for the look and image that comes out of that camera. Like for example, I shoot with Nikon Z system primarily, but I still own GFX, Fujifilm GFX, because there's a look to that image that could I do whatever I'm shooting on another system? Sure. But there's just something special about the way that image looks out of that camera that drives me to a different end result, or something I'm looking for, or a different feel, or changes the habits on the way I shoot, things like that, you know? You're effectively paying for inspiration. I don't know about that. I think it's really sometimes the gear just opens up possibilities, or sometimes the gear just saves you time. So for example, if you're doing something that ends up costing you time in post, right? Or something you have to constantly compensate for to get to an end result, if the next level thing automatically does it the way you want it to do it, or skips steps for you, or shaves time off. I mean, look at what we're doing with softboxes. Now I can pack up, done. Years ago, a 4-foot Octa, you're pulling rods out, you're trying to get them to roll it up, you're trying to put the speed ring away. At my demo, I was using a 5-foot umbrella, right? And then I said, hey, let's switch to an Octa. If I said, let's switch to an Octa years ago before we had this, it literally would have taken me a few minutes. Here, it's just like, boom, we're using a 4-foot Octa, done. Is that worth it to you? I'll tell you what makes this system worth it to me, no matter what brand. There's plenty of brands that do this now, but in my studio, I work fast, I work alone a lot, and if I set something up like this takes up a lot of room, right? Well, if I don't want to take it apart, but I know I'm going to go back to it, or if I just want to have it on hand so I can swap in and out of it, now I'm saving all this room and I don't have to take down the light. To me, with the amount I have to be shooting and working and doing all these things, that's worth it to me. But I'm shooting multiple days a week and have to do a lot of, I have to produce a lot. If you're not, if you're someone that's just like a hobbyist that's shooting once in a while, do you care about a feature like that? You know, I'm sure a feature like this is great for wedding photographers. The Power Snap from Glow, right? If you said, hey, let me just put this light here for the bride really quick, and then click, set up a softbox in 2 seconds instead of her waiting for you to feed rods into an old school speed ring, you know? I bought an Osmo and I don't even vlog, but I'm hoping it'll force me to find new ways to get creative. You know, sometimes it will. Sometimes the tool just makes you want to go out there and use it, and you figure out something you didn't really care about. When your kit is easy to transport and set up and use, you're more likely to shoot more often. Exactly. There's a really big reason to have good gear. Listen, the work is hard enough, all right? You don't want to be fighting the tools that are supposed to be helping you do the job, right? So you pick the one, and there is no right answer. Sometimes a camera's interface is easier for you to understand than the person next to you. Sometimes there's a brand that just makes more sense to you. Sometimes the look of what you get out of what a brand produces makes more sense to you, right? So the gear makes you want to use it, that's the most valuable thing in the world to me. You know, if there's definitely things I have that are crazy expensive and are amazing, but in the end, I struggle trying to take it somewhere. Like sometimes I have like these big lenses. Sometimes I struggle going like, I'm not going to take that this time. It doesn't make you want to take it out, right? So it's tough, you know? But then when you do take it out and you remember why you wanted this thing and why you bought it, you're like, oh, okay, yeah. Side question, should flash strobe batteries be stored full or partially charged or just charged right before a shoot? I'll say this, batteries are shipped half full. A battery should never go fully dead. I keep my batteries as charged as often as I can. But I don't think it makes that big of a difference with modern lithium batteries, to be honest with you. Oh, what's up, man? I'm live right now. You want to pop on? Guys, I got a special guest. Let me get a mic. Hang on. If you guys watched 2 of my Comic-Con videos, this is, oh man, I totally boxed myself in here. I'm sorry. Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Check 1, 2. Is this on, guys? No. See? Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. This is Mark C. Warner.
Hello.
From the Warner Aesthetic, right?
Yes.
Okay. My man is out there Comic-Con shooting medium format film on a Rolly. He brought in a Hasselblad X1D.
Yeah.
X1D.
Yeah.
And you also brought in, what was there, another film camera you had?
I usually do the small, like a point and shoot, the Contax T3. I'm not sure if I should.
Contax T3. You so bougie.
I know.
So what's cool is watching this guy shoot a Comic-Con because the Javits Center is like basically a glass greenhouse, and you can watch photographers go from the north end and slowly make their way all the way to the south end for the light. And I always know when the south end hits, if I go there, I'll be able to find all you guys.
Yeah. 100%.
Have you guys seen Mark on the video? What else are you shooting besides Comic-Con? Because we never actually talked about that.
I do personal projects. So a lot of times I live in Harlem. So I start off with street photography. And then afterwards I go to Trinidad because I'm originally from Trinidad, which is in the news now for other reasons. And I'm doing a long-term project in regards to mythology and shooting people in capturing and documenting mythology. Our mythology comes from like the French and whatnot over a lot of colonial times.
Okay.
So we have words like La Jablais, Sukaya, things like that. And it's
I'm such a trash rat. I'm such a
no. It's fun. In fact, no one knows it, and that's part of the joy of me doing this.
That's cool.
So I'm just documenting my country, where I'm from, places, why I like it, why I love it, and what I see as similarities after being in the United States for 30 plus years, and just kind of bringing everything together and just sharing that through the art of photography.
And are you shooting everything on film?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's easier if I don't.
Yeah. You think?
Because I fly down, I'm like, this is awesome, and then I go out and I get it developed, and I'm like, dude, not so much.
Well, not even that.
You know?
You just saw us shoot 100 frames in less than 5 seconds. 100 frames for this guy. What's that, like 10 rolls of film?
Yeah.
Because it's what, you doing 120?
Yeah, I'm doing 120.
Yeah. So what we just did, we just threw those photos away. I mean, I shot this light for all these frames to show consistency at 20 frames a second. Not one shift.
Dope.
It's cool, right?
Yeah.
It's a very high-end light. I bought it from Pro Photo, and they didn't take it back yet. So I was like, this is nuts. It's just like, and the modeling light is monstrous on this thing too.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the modeling light?
Yeah, that's just modeling light. And then if you do 20 frames a second, well, let me get a TTL on her. I can't even do just one frame, right? So that's TTL. And then that's a month of his shots. Think about it. We just threw these away. You know what I mean? Like this is just a joke, right?
It's brilliant.
So we are very wasteful. My man over here is like, nope, that one frame, if you think about it, one frame is probably costing like $3. More? Wait, are you processing yourself? Of course not. Look at this guy. Look at the sweater. Do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? My man shoots Comic-Con with a rollie. This is Eric from the used department. That's it.
No, that's the beard that's distinguished. But thank you. I appreciate that.
But it's just like, what a perspective, right? Like we're here talking about like what light, how much money, and why do we get out of this? And this guy's like, no, every frame has that much more weight on it for him every time he shoots. I mean, have you ever shot something for somebody on film in a modern era and just felt like you didn't get it?
Most times.
Okay.
Most times. It's exactly what you're mentioning. It's while I could be as intentional as I want, you still have to come up with the ideas and you're playing around and you have to have creativity. So you have to allow for the fact that I'm out of a role. If I get 2, I have nailed it. I am so happy with myself.
I mean, that's like 10%, not even 10%.
Yeah.
No. So,
Yeah.
but do you shoot a digital frame? Like, let's say you're doing something more curated. It's not just an on the fly, hey, let me get you against this wall, take a shot.
Yeah.
When you're doing something more curated, you take a digital frame to test it?
If I'm doing a controlled environment,
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
There's absolutely no reason why not. But when I'm on the road and I'm dealing with strangers and people who I've never met before, right? So I am already convincing them to let this guy who just showed up with a camera to take a photo of them, to do and trust me to do something right with it. And that element, while I'm showing them this camera, I don't have time or I don't want to interrupt that flow with the digital part to go and say, okay, let me do this, now stand back, etc. I'm already having a conversation, and whatever they give me, they give me, like it's a gift, and it's really them being generous to me. So,
Oh, that's a tricky exposure.
thank you.
Yeah. So this is his Instagram. If you guys want to follow him, he's at the Warner Aesthetic. I'll put the link in the chat as well. But you're only at 2,000. What is this? I thought, man, we got to get you moving, man. No, it was pretty cool because like when you go to these crazy events like Comic-Con, there's always like one guy doing some off the wall slow process. So one of my favorite things is in New York is the Mermaid Parade. And there's something about the Mermaid Parade that brings out the old antique steampunk,
Yes.
older than dirt processes, and someone always comes with a 4x5.
Yeah.
Someone always gets the dark cloth over their head. And you're always like, this is just awesome.
Yes.
Or the wet plate people, the wet plate, like they're like a horror movie.
Types and weapons.
Yeah. So I think like it's just when I saw him, I was like, all right, I got to talk to this guy because there are some people that shoot film, but I got to tell you, for the most part, and this isn't taking anything away from them, for the most part, they're just kind of going like, I'm just having fun. He's really working with the film. Some people are just taking point shoots. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of having fun with it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Totally cool. Yeah. But you're really chasing light. I'm like, they would just drive me crazy all day. I would just, and then you got to think about the percentage, right? You got all those people. Now you get a percentage of the people you want to approach.
Yep.
Then the percentage of the people that say yes to you shooting slower because some of them are surrounded by 40 people, don't want to move.
Yeah.
Hold on. He just asked me. I got to, and then the percentage of shots you might even look at.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Exactly.
Okay.
You nailed it.
Okay.
You nailed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Guys, do me a favor. This turned into like a call for the creators out of nowhere. We're almost out of here, guys. Hit the link in the chat for his Instagram. Stay up on him. Let's make him, work a little harder. He's only posting once a millennium. I can't talk though. I'm like not even
You're
bothered.
doing amazing.
Thanks, and thanks for going to my demo. I know what a downpour.
Yeah, downfall. It was so worth it. I mean,
thank you.
It was really worth it.
Oh,
I was
thank you.
really happy. But
Oh, thanks. If you guys want to check that out, that's on this channel as well. Anything you want to promote? Any projects you got coming up?
no, I just want to say thank you to you.
Oh, no, thank you, man. Thank you. And make sure, this is why we do this live. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't even know what shirt I'm going to wear today, but I'm going to yeah. Come on, Paul Heyman, hire me. Paul Heyman, hire me. Okay, anyway, guys, I'm going to call it there. Make sure you hit subscribe if you're new here. Hit like, drop some comments, say what's up to this guy, throw up some DMs and stuff like that. And I hope you guys have a good rest of the week. Don't forget, we have Susan Magnano tomorrow. We've got Jennifer Stitt on Wednesday. Daniel Norton, I think, makes his return on Thursday, which is nuts. I think he's doing LED versus flash, something like that. Constant light versus flash, I think. And as much as I make fun of Daniel, I love him to death, and I always learn from Daniel. Hope you should come out to that one too. Rest of the week, we'll see you there, and be good to each other. I will catch you. I'll see if I'm live next week, but I'll definitely see you here for all the other demos. Say goodbye to Mark, guys.
Thank you, everyone.